Hi everyone, my name is Matt. I'm working on this project Plotly, and we are a graphing and analytics platform. So our central mental model is thinking about how you use GitHub to share and collaborate on code. We would love for you to be able to share and collaborate on data and plotting on Plotly. So I'll walk through a couple different use cases, show some graphs, and feel free to ask questions as we go. So the kind of like core of Plotly is probably most easily just represented by our feed. And so this is a feed of different graphs that are coming through. And so we have wrappers for different languages, which I'll show in a second. So you can just invoke like a wrapper from Igor. And then we have like contour plots. We have a Python API, which I'll show. You can convert MATLAB figures into Plotly, ggplot figures, lots of different graph types that we support either natively or through extensions. And if you just go to like plot.ly/feed, you'll see the feed as well. And so everything is web-based, so there's no like installations or downloads or anything. Our API is installed through pip. So let's jump in and check out a few particular graphs. So this is, and a fun thing that we've recently found is you can convert IPython notebooks to HTML. So it's really awesome. We've just done all of our docs like that. So it's really a cool way to save yourself the pain of having to like structure everything if you already have notebooks you like. So the way that we render graphs is using D3, which is a JavaScript graphing library. And so it lets us kind of do these like interactive things on it. So if you've ever seen this TED Talk by Hans Rosling, he uses bubble charts as a way of showing different information about life expectancy and GDP. So here we're looking at a bubble chart that shows 4 dimensions of data about this particular graph. So on the bottom we have GDP per capita, and then the y-axis is life expectancy. And each of the bubbles are sized according to the population of the country, and they're colored for the continent. So you can, and then you can put in whatever custom hover text that you'd like to have folks be able to see. And then it's interactive, so you can zoom in, and you can toggle around and move all of it. And this is just, this is written inside of an IPython notebook. And so we also then have, you can do real-time streaming. So this is, I'm going to refresh the page here, it seems to have died. So I'll jump into this one. So this is our we also have a wrapper for ggplot2 and for Matplotlib, so you can just convert your figures from ggplot or from Matplotlib right into Plotly. And then, you know, if you have like multiple axes, it'll like zoom back in on all of them. So basic overview of kind of how our wrapper works is, let's just grab an example here. So this is a Matplotlib figure, and I'm making it like I would normally make a Matplotlib figure. And then, you know, I have my image here. And then once you've made the figure, you invoke this call that we have, iPlot. And then we redraw the figure in Plotly, and it becomes interactive. And you get it inside of your notebook, and then you can strip out the styling if you want to do it however you'd like to. And then once you've made your figure, you get all of the data and the figure living together still. So like I can make GET requests from any language. So if I have made a graph with like Python, and you want to make a GET request for that data or that figure from MATLAB, you can call it. And so you can call the data and you can call the figure. So you can edit any graph or extend any graph from any language. And then once we've drawn the graph, let's check out like another Matplotlib example here. So once we've converted a figure, so this is another conversion here where we've taken a Matplotlib figure. Once you've drawn it, it goes to a URL. So you just get automatic sharing on it. And then if it goes here, well, I already have this one. So, so once it's here, you get it at the URL. And so we always store the data with the plot together as part of the same thing. And it looks like this is loading super slow. So sorry about that. And so once you've made a figure, no matter what language it's drawn from, we'll represent it with JSON. And then you can translate the figure into different, sorry, let's just get it this way. So you can just translate it into different languages just by like grabbing it at the URL. And then it is always just sort of like accessible. You can like download it and export it as like SVG or PNG and PDFs, and then throw it around in different languages. So like if you want to convert, so like once you've made Matplotlib figures, you can convert them or like add to them with MATLAB or something like that. So we support that for Matplotlib. And then so that means that you can use like Seaborn or like ggplot for Python if you all have used that. And all of them, it's the same thing where it's once you've converted it, it goes into the URL. And then you get all of these other features that go on top of it. And then the kind of fun thing is here. So once you've drawn it, and again, this was just like drawn from Matplotlib. Once you've drawn the figure, you can edit everything about it. And so you can see like when we converted it, it didn't quite go entirely cleanly through. Some of the backend about Matplotlib is a little hard to parse out what's going on. But once we have it here, we can just edit everything about it inside of a GUI and like save it. And then, you know, like all of everything about the whole figure is stylable from here. And then we save the data that's with it. So you can like, I will use it to collab. So like before this, I worked at Facebook, and I always had this problem where I would like make a graph, and then I would email the data and like the figure and like a bunch of code to other people, and then they would email me back, and I would change some stuff, and then we would go through this whole routine again and again, and it was kind of frustrating. Yeah. And so, but like the cool thing here is like since you have the data and the figure together, I can just like copy and paste Excel data right on top of someone else's plot, or someone else can like add their other data. And once you've made the figure, or once you've got the figure in, you can just redraw the figure as any other plot type, either from the GUI or from your, like by like making a GET request for it, like pull the data down and replot it in some other way. And then we have like stats and fits and functions and tools here. So you can add fits on top of it. So we have a bunch of different fitting options if you want to add like, you know, you want to throw like a Gaussian on top of it here, and then we'll generate the R squared and the slope for you. And then all of your files get saved here. So like I just back up all of my files here, and it tells me like what the link is. And then I can just like do versioning here. So it lets me like revert back to previous versions. And so I don't have to like have like data and plots and code lying around in different places. And then it's collaborative. So it works just like Google Docs in the sense that like you can have private or public files. And sorry, this load is a little funky here. So yeah, well, you know, it's a live demo, so I expect it to break. So the long and short of that, though, is like you can just collaboratively edit things with folks, and then it's just like all a web-based experience. So you don't ever have to like email anything around, because like the code and the data and the graph and your revision history all are just living online together. So a couple ways that like you can use these. I thought this was a fun one after the talk this morning. So this is lake data for how particularly deep this lake is that a professor had made. And so it's fun to represent it as a contour plot. Then we have like folks who've done like who are using it for studying elevation. We have streaming, so it lets you can kind of use streaming in a couple of different ways. So like I can live stream data if I want to, and update it every 50 milliseconds. And so it's just like redrawn in the browser. We have a WebSocket API, and so you can just like throw data in from anywhere, or you can just like post it once a day or every couple minutes. So this guy uses has a home monitoring system, and he's streaming in data through our Arduino and Raspberry Pi API, and then from his Nest, which is like those thermostats, and through the Wonderground API. And so he like updates the temperature for this graph every like 2 or 3 minutes here. And so it's cool, and it's like people will discuss it with one another. And then another one that I thought was fun because of the talk this morning was here's a contour map of data from earthquakes. Someone made a seismograph that streamed data from an Arduino. And their graph right here actually is, this guy sent this video of him doing this. He was jumping beside it. And so it spiked the graph. So it's pretty cool because you can just see like, just go to the URL and it's right there. So you don't ever have to like set up your own hosting for anything. You can just like stream in data from anywhere. It's like a bubble chart that shows population data in Canada. And so this is a fun thing because we don't natively support maps, but people have done cool things of like, this is a contour plot drawn on top of a line plot, and it's using basemap. And so you can just take like lat long data and then drop other data on top of it. So like the first one I just showed you, the Canadian one, was lat long data with a bubble chart on top of it, and this one is lat long data with a contour plot on top of it. And then these are a couple of fun graphs about the UK. This user that we have emailed me this morning and was like, here's some graphs. I saw you speaking in the UK today. This is like a fun thing kind of about Plotly, and I hope those other graphs have shown this. Is like, it's really kind of like, for us, what's really fun and cool about it is the community around it, of just like people make graphs about all kinds of wild stuff, and you know, it's like where they share their research. So it's a cool hub for being able to like see what types of work other people are up to. So you can like, once you've made the plot, you know, and this is fun because it's like, this was drawn inside of an IPython notebook, but it's just getting served in an iframe. And so then once it's in the iframe, like you don't have to do anything extra to get like the URL function on top of it. So then it goes into your profile. And so you can like share all of your work from your profile, and other people can kind of like come in, and it's interactive inside of here, and they can check out like the research that you're doing. And so it's a way you can like share interactive plots. Let's see, another notebook. Yeah, and so another fun thing is you can use iframes. So this is in the Washington Post. And so you can just serve just inside of like an HTML iframe snippet, just like we're doing with the IPython notebook. You can just put it inside of like blogs or notebooks or you know, your own personal web pages just by embedding the graph, and then you get all of the interactivity. So it's like, you know, you get that like professional like interactive D3 feel without having to like put any extra effort into it. And then when you share the figure, again, it's just like part of a URL. So it means that other people can go through and check out your plot. You know, it's just like, it's an entirely reproducible figure. It's like the frustration that I have occasionally felt when I like see someone's figure that I'd really like to reproduce is it's like, you know, you find their code and it's relying on a local file, so you can't see the data, or if they're coding in another language, I can't, you know, and I don't know that language, I can't really use it. And so like we've tried to make it so it extends across tons of different languages and then keeps the data and the code together. So you can just like copy and paste any of these code blocks into like your preferred development environment, and we like pre-fill the key and the installation stuff. So this is like my username and key, so I can just copy and paste this into my R environment, and it'll just like replicate that. So there's no loss for the figure once you've made it. Here's like a couple other fun plots that I thought, and I also thought, so this is a bit of a adventure here that we're about to have. So we pushed 3D plots into our staging environment yesterday. So I don't entirely expect this to work, but I figured it'd be fun to try. So we just started on this one. So let's see if we can get it as a surface plot. So we'll select it as a surface plot. Oh, sweet. Yeah, so it's cool because like you can kind of like zoom around on it, and then you know it's like you can zoom in and play around with it. And so we're going to add like hover text to this as well. So this is a different application. So because like everything else that we're using is Python and Django, and then drawn with D3, but this one is like a lot of different stuff. So we're using WebGL, and it's just like an entirely different ballgame. So it's been kind of an adventure for us. But a fun thing then is like once you've made a plot, if you want to like use themes for it, you can use like reuse your themes either from the API or from the GUI. So like if I see a styling that I really like about someone else's theme, or I have a styling that I always use, you don't ever have to like recode that or like reuse that. You can just like take the styling and strip out the data from the API and then reapply the styling. Or you can just do it from the GUI here. And then, you know, it's like anyone, you can just like save a styling from any particular theme that you see and you really like. Oh, now we're going to be able to get this. Sick. Okay, so yeah, so I can just like make this public or private here. And so it's like the only way that I can see it is if I'm a logged in user and someone has shared that file with me, and then I can just add other collaborators, just like a Google Doc, and they'll be able to like come in and edit it with me. Am I done? All right. And then you can just like grab the iframe snippet from here to be able to embed it and stuff like that. So we've had fun applications from different places. So like SpaceX uses Plotly, and the Quantum Computing Center at the University of Copenhagen, and like the Washington Post. But then we also ship on Chromebooks for like as a Chrome OS educational app, because it's like they can't run software since it's like all web-based and free. It's cool for students to be able to use. So it's like you own your own data, you control privacy and sharing, and it's free for unlimited public sharing. So we've set it a lot like GitHub, so you can share as many plots as you want to, and it's all just like free. So that's all I really had. I don't know if I have time for questions or.
So how does Plotly make its money if it's free for unlimited public sharing? What do you charge for?
We do the exact same thing as GitHub. So we do private installations. So you can, oh, and someone asked us earlier about running multiple IPython kernels too. I was going to say this. It's actually really fun to run. We've done this where we'll run, like I use Docker to run IPython, and so I'll have like a virtual machine. And so that's how we've built Plotly, is it's all just on Docker. And so we have like licensing per user for people who want to bring it behind their firewalls. And so that's what we've done with like University of Copenhagen and like with SpaceX and stuff like that, where they just like bring it in and they have their own local instance that they've spun up. Also, the R kernel is awesome. This guy, amazing. If you use R at all, I highly recommend checking it out. It's been a real boon for our team. Other questions or? Cool.